Welcome back to another episode of Breath of Life Stories. I'm your host, Lisa Bailey Brown, and the podcast is sponsored by Life at Europe Limited. Today, I have another awesome guest. So, I have with me the lovely V Wilde. I won't be able to do you justice, so it's over to you.
Good morning, everybody. So my name is V. I'm an online health and fitness coach for women, specifically those mid to late 30s, approaching midlife, going into perimenopause. And I'm also now the proud owner of, in South East Essex and Romford Havering area, of Strike Back Women's Self-Defence.
That's amazing. So we'll delve deeper into all these things, what V does. But what I'd like to do first of all is I'd like to go back a little bit, and I want to know about who you were in the beginning and just share a little bit more about your story, your experiences, your background.
Okay, well, so I was born and bred in Thurrock in Essex. Just think of the shopping centre.
Yeah. Shopping all the way.
No one knows where Thurrock is. It's like, where's that? Essex. My parents are both Filipino. They came over here in the 70s as nurses, gave birth to me and my sister. And we lived in a part of Thurrock that was predominantly a very sort of white area.
Mhm.
You know, sadly, growing up, we were racially abused, and we had a lot of difficulties growing up because of the area that we were in. But my mum and dad, you know, like a lot of, people from abroad, they come over here because they want a better life for themselves. And obviously
Mhm.
for the family, for the daughters, me and my sister. So we grew up in the area. Now I was one of those kids when I was younger that didn't want to do what everyone. I just was not that girl. I mean, in my school reports, I will quite often say, "The Veronica, easily distracted," and I still am easily distracted. So might
Me
need
too.
might need to look into that as something. But yeah, he was a child that just could not sit still, and I didn't want to conform to what my parents, I guess, wanted me to do. So typically Filipinos, they come over, they're nurses, and then, as they grow up, they're very academic because of, they had to study very hard and their upbringing was quite strict. And so a lot of those, I guess, rules were enforced in me and my sister, and that just did not want to comply. Just did not want to.
Doesn't surprise me. I've not actually met you in person, but honestly, she does make me smile. But I like that. It's really good.
I wasn't very academic at school. I went to a convent school, a convent all girls school. And as much as I can remember, my childhood was just very much about restriction and about rules and regulations, and you have to do this. And then my sister, she was the one who was very much, I'll do it. I'll do it all. Very academic, very intelligent, great job. But I was the one who was like, no, this just doesn't work for me. So
Yeah.
I wasn't the most, I kind of quit. I didn't do very well in college. I got involved in the wrong crowd, and I basically was a little bit naughty. And then when it came to working life, my parents had a direction for me that I didn't want to follow. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. This is what I want to do. I want to be a dancer. I want to dance. And at the time, Michael Jackson was the man for me. He was a
Yeah.
big influence. I used to copy him, his moves a lot. I was known when I was younger for being that girl that used to dance like him. My dad, when he was alive, he used to put me in front of everyone in parties and say, look at Veronica dance.
Oh, bless him.
And I was the one in I was the one in the centre, just doing all that. Can't
Yeah.
do as well now, but I can move. I'm a bit of a mover. So that sparked something in me, and I just loved what music and just that kind of environment did for me inside.
Mhm.
But still, the parents were still like, you need to work in an office with a pension and and it needs to be all very
Yeah.
linear. Where I was like, no. And I just kept on pushing against and just going against. Obviously, wasn't academic, didn't finish my studies, got involved in a gang, went into love music. And I just went against the grain of what a lot of Filipino parents at the time wanted, because they wanted to try and fit into what society was here, especially with the racial abuse.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I'm not. I'm going to be
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
From that, I I became a dance teacher, and because I love music so much, I love dancing so much. But then I remember like auditioning in places like Pineapple, and I just had
Love pineapple. I had the pineapple hoodie and everything. I wanted to dance as well, but unfortunately, I'm not like
of like, I that is not a job, that is not a career. You're not going to do well doing that. And I don't blame my parents for that, but certainly their upbringing
yeah,
impacts on
yeah.
that. But also,
I actually only just spoke about this at the weekend about how things that the narrative that we get from people like parents or grandparents even, because I was saying about my mum always wanted to sing and she had a good voice, but her mum said people like us don't do that. You need to get a proper
yeah,
job. And then that just goes all the way down the
yeah,
line. And
absolutely,
even like that went to me,
yeah.
but luckily I'm like, my kids, you can be whatever you want to be. So
Yeah,
I hear what you're saying.
amen to that, 100%. Yeah, so I just like, because of we were obviously where we were living, we were racially abused because we were different. We were the only brown family there. We were being called all sorts. I remember like when I kind of went through the whole dance scene and wanting to be a dancer, being in Pineapple and looking around me and seeing no other brown, any women of color. It was just me.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
all like beautiful white women with blonde hair and looking a certain way. And I felt really out of place. Like I didn't belong
Mhm.
there at all.
Yeah.
And I remember just doing the shittest, my lad swear.
No, it's fine, yeah. No, don't
Just
apologise. It's all good. It's all fine.
this audition because I just felt so crap about myself because I didn't feel like I was like that I did a really bad audition. I wasn't me and I left and I just didn't end up pursuing that career in the end. But the dance side in me stayed for quite a while. So I said, okay, if I'm not going to be a dancer, maybe I'll be a dance teacher instead. So I came across this company and they were looking for people to run dance schools, and I ended up doing my IDTA freestyle qualification, went through all that, and then lo and behold I ended up with a dance school operating in primary schools across Thurrock, competing, doing exams. We were huge. It grew really quickly, and even still back then my parents were like, when are you going to get a proper job, because you can't jump up. They actually referred to it as jumping up and down. You can't jump up and down forever.
Yeah, yeah.
But still I loved what it gave me. It's a feeling, and that's really key. The feeling that it gave
Mhm.
me, like
Yeah.
knowing that I was doing even adults, running these to perform, even putting them through examinations. I won like an entrepreneur. It was huge. But at the same time, what I noticed as well, that a lot of people around me that were trying to make it in the dance industry were burning out because it's dancer's career is very short lived and you don't really earn much from it. And I had my parents, and then how long are you going to keep this up for? So I was like, you'll find that a lot of dancers, dance teachers transition into fitness instructors because it's easy to.
Yeah.
And so I started then my fitness career and I started teaching dance classes in a few gyms. And then next thing you know, I was a qualified fitness instructor because I then started learning about, teaching classes like legs, bums and tums and Zumba and MetaFit and all the things that you would get in gyms. But in that transition, I was still running the dance school. I just met my now husband at the time, but yeah. And we got married, and then my parents were like, okay, it's time for us to go back to the Philippines now. We're going to
Okay,
go.
yeah.
And we're like, I'm not ready for that
Mhm.
yet. And they went, no, you're settled, dancing thing, your sister's doing her thing. It's time for us to go. So obviously that in itself was quite a big deal. But then, they retired, they were happy, they did their thing. Me and my husband, we kind of like had met, settled. And then I gave birth to my first child. And then when she was 6 months old, my dad suddenly passed away. And how he passed was, do you remember? Yeah. So I remember like being on a conversation with my dad talking about Georgia, she's 6 months old, showing him Georgia, blah, blah, blah. And then the next day, my mum called me from this is when they just obviously retired back from UK to Philippines. And then the next day, my mum found my dad on the floor, and he'd
Oh
basically
dear.
had a stroke in his sleep. And so, yeah, when they did sort of the post-mortem, they said if he would have survived that stroke, he would have been like a vegetable. And at that point, it was just so overwhelming because I'd not that long given birth to Georgia, who I actually had postnatal depression with. And I was running a dance school and teaching classes, and I didn't really deal with it, but I put everything into my fitness. And I think if I wasn't doing that, I don't know where I'd be, because I put
Yeah.
everything into the training side of it, but also what I was doing for others. Because I remember like hearing about my dad's death, and it was a whirlwind. It was a whirlwind. We were on the plane to the Philippines with my 6-month-old, straight from the airport, a 16-hour flight to the chapel where his body was, the funeral a couple of days later, and then flying back, and then me going into a local gym where I live to then teach a class of 30 people.
Hmm. Yeah, I can imagine it's a lot.
Yeah, it was. And I think at the time I didn't really have time to grieve or process. I was just putting a lot of my
Yeah.
work into my job and what I was doing for other people. So I ended up selling the dance school. I don't regret it. It was just a lot to handle in the end.
Yeah.
So I sold the dance school and I just focused on the fitness element. And I think with the classes, personal training and everything just naturally fell into that area.
Yeah.
But the reason why I went into it was a lot more than just the fitness. It was what I was actually doing for people's health, and having experienced just losing my dad suddenly through, I believe, had his lifestyle maybe have been different,
Yeah.
possibly be here today. And that's quite a big statement, but sadly, like the number one killer in the Philippines is high blood pressure, diabetes.
Yeah.
And my dad didn't have the best lifestyle either. He didn't look after himself at all.
I think there's like that. I've never been someone that's focused on my health until my health got bad. And then
Yeah,
it's like, oh, because I think we take it for granted when we're young that, we're fine, we're all right, we can eat what we want, drink what we want, do what we want. And then
absolutely.
as we get older, then our body starts to say, no, you actually can't.
Yeah.
And I guess with parents as well, from different eras and different times and different things, it's, we are our own worst enemy in some way, aren't we? But then at the end of the day, when we've got things that we can do that are
Hmm.
simple and easy for us, we often take that route, don't we? So with your fitness thing then, so you went into it to focus on the fitness side because of basically you thought about what happened with your dad and how that could be prevented. And
Yeah.
that's kind of where you went in that direction then.
Yeah, but then I went a little bit extreme with it. I went off the rails with it because
Mm,
obviously I clearly didn't process my dad's death. It was so
mhm.
quick. And coming back from the Philippines into full blown classes, I remember just being that instructor where I was teaching classes, PTing loads, spreading myself very thinly and
Yeah,
giving so much to others, but not really focusing on what I needed, certainly from a mental health point of view, that
yeah.
I ended up doing bodybuilding. And the reasons were that
Yes.
for that were the wrong reasons, because it was shortly after I then fell pregnant very quickly to my second daughter. So there's an 18-month gap between my two kids, which
Keep
wasn't
you
planned.
busy, that.
But it was so quick. And I remember after giving birth to her, I remember just looking at myself and thinking, I actually hate how I look. Like, this is a fitness professional, like, and a dance teacher. I hate how I look. I've put on a lot of weight. And like a lot of women that I work with, you just go to the extremes. And this was when I was in we're talking like now early 30s. So newly married, lost my dad, sold a dance school, had two daughters very close in age. And I thought, fuck it, I need to get me back, how I
Mhm.
want to look. So what did I do? I went into bodybuilding. So what didn't help was at the time I was working in a very well-known bodybuilder's gym as a female PT. So of course, when you're in that environment, you're going to want to dip your toes in. Everyone
Yeah,
around me was training a certain way. Everyone around me was, taking stuff and, just purely for aesthetics.
yeah,
And for them, because of how I felt about myself and not dealing with my dad's death, I thought, this is what I need. I need this because it's going to, if I look a certain way, that's going to give me that validation, and I'm going to
Yeah.
feel better because of it. So what did I do? I kind of did some extreme dieting. I got a coach who put me on a stupidly low, which is, I actually cringe because I was so low in body fat that my period stopped for 6 months.
Yeah, I've heard that happens with it.
Yeah, yeah. Luckily, by that point, I already had kids because I probably would have struggled, and I know a lot of women that do that, that their hormones are all over the place, and it's not natural. It's almost like when you put your body under that much strain and you're so restricted with food, it kind of is a form of disordered eating, in a
Mm.
way, because I was on a certain amount of calories. I was weighing everything, I was measuring everything, I was training in a certain way, doing cardio one point of the day, of resistance in another, and PTing and being
So
a
it's
mum.
quite a lot really, and quite obsessive, I guess, with it all, and
Absolutely, absolutely. But I didn't do just one show, I did 3. Did did
bless
it
you.
give me what I wanted? No, not at all, because again, and I think the final straw was when I did my 3rd show in Birmingham. It was like a big bodybuilders event,
Mhm.
and I remember being backstage, having a spray tan put on me. I mean, do I look like I need a tan?
But I know what you mean, you had that gravy kind of.
So I had, like, a spray tan put on me. And this was it for me. This is when I thought, "Fuck this. I'm done. I'm done."
Yeah,
I remember there was an old man backstage, and he was some kind of judge he was handing out free invites to his competition. Now, it was huge. This federation for bodybuilding was really well
yeah,
known. And the fact that he was backstage as we were about to go on stage, handing out invites to certain people. Because, in this industry, sometimes it's about who you know, who you're connected with, sadly,
yeah.
how you look. And guess what? I didn't get an invite, but I'm not surprised because all the women that were backstage, they looked a certain way, they
Yeah,
were white, beautiful blondes. And
yeah,
actually, I wasn't the only woman of color there, but we didn't get invites. We didn't
no,
get picked. And I thought, fuck this now. I'm done. I'm done. This is like a personal thing now. You're not picking me because I'm an Asian woman. And then I'm like, nope. And
yeah,
I just thought, no, after that last show, and obviously going through the 3 different shows, like there was a lot of strain on my marriage. There was a lot of, I had to be a really selfish person, selfish individual to do these shows because it's all about me. I need to
yeah,
do this train way. I need to eat in this way. I remember even going to like a really close friend of mine, her wedding, eating in a Tupperware box in the toilet because this was a wedding. She had like a special dinner prepared.
yeah,
Doesn't fit my meal plan. I need to eat this because this is how I want to look. So selfish. Able to
yeah.
like be there for her and her special day. It was all about me, and I just know.
I suppose when you're in that and that is your world, I suppose it's like footballers or people who have to train and focus, they get focused, but some people do become, like you say, obsessed with it because it takes over and that obviously is to do with, like you said, because of the way you've experienced things, I
Yeah.
think it
And
sounds
don't
like.
get me wrong, I'm not knocking people that do it because it takes a lot of discipline to do
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
100%.
absolutely.
Taught me a lot of lessons, but
Mm,
certainly for someone like me who's Filipino, who loves food and certainly wants to really enjoy life now, especially after my experiences, that
mm.
side, let's just say that just taught me a lot of lessons. But would I do it again? No. No, 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 no. So
So
yeah,
what happened next then? What happened after that then? Gone through all of that?
so after I did all of that, then I had probably the clearest cut abs that I'd ever experienced ever had in my life. With obviously the stretch marks with it, where I'd given birth twice in a short space of time. But I remember being in this hotel, Lisa, and I remember and I think I've still got the picture and the video, but I remember looking and going, I've never had this before. But I was so deprived and so hungry because I was on such a restriction. I even remember
Yeah.
on my second to last show when I remember calling my coach and saying to him, I'm really thirsty. Can I have because there's a thing what you do with water, and you have to dehydrate when you go on stage so that you look more vascular and striated.
Okay.
And I remember him saying to me, if you want water, put it in your mouth, swirl it and spit it out.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And I was like, and it
I
made
need a
me just
drink now.
I'm actually getting a dry mouth now. It just,
Straight away, I did. I was thinking, can't
I mean,
imagine doing that. You know, someone saying, no, you can't. You've got to spit it out.
yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. And it just made me really start questioning all of this, what fitness is actually about.
Yeah.
What is fitness? And because I was in that bodybuilding scene I was working at this gym for a good 5 years. I started questioning, like, okay, yeah, I might be like looking a certain way, but I don't feel fit. I don't feel fit at all. If anything, like, I feel worse. I'm low in
Mm,
energy. There's too much restriction. And this is not how I want to live my life at all. So
yeah.
I started like what a good bodybuilding coach should do is they almost should give you what's called a reverse diet, where when you finish your show, almost bring you back up to how you would eat normally. I didn't do
Yeah.
that. I just went all in and thought, fuck it, give me all the food because I have no
Yeah.
tolerance. Cheat meals, guilty foods, naughty foods, whatever you want to call it. Give me all of that. Then obviously I started to put on weight, and then I just started to think, hang on a minute, okay, so
How did you, just to ask you though, so like when you went from being so restricted to then going hell for leather, did it make you feel ill though? Because like I can imagine like it would, because if you've been so restricted, although you
yes,
want to eat,
yes.
surely your body would be like, whoa.
Initially, but then I think my body told me I
Mm,
need this.
yeah.
So, obviously in the big, like going through that restriction, I had a lot of cramps and headaches, and because I was lacking in a lot of nutrients, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But then when I slowly started to, well, actually, no, not slowly, it was vigorous for me. It was like, no, I've been restricted. I need all that. This is the thing. If you do any kind of strict diet plan,
Yeah.
a diet where it tells you not to, you're gonna, a little bit like me in my childhood, you're gonna come back and you're gonna like want
It
more.
makes it harder because the more someone tells you you can't, the more you're like, well, no, you know?
That's exactly what I did. So I started just eating normal, and then thankfully within a few months my period started coming back. And obviously like for a woman,
Mm,
the menstrual cycle is like a fairly good indicator of your health.
yeah.
So that's when I just thought, okay, my body is back to me again. But what really made me question the industry was when I was going through that, I was so tired all the time. And I'm like, hang on a minute, I'm a fit person. So then I started questioning what fitness is. And then I started to realize fitness should be a feeling of what you should. So yes, don't get me wrong, especially when you approach midlife, like I mean, when a woman hits 30, actually, I don't know if you knew this, but muscle
Yeah.
declines
Yeah.
unless you are doing some kind of resistance training, and that can include body weight as well, but it's really important. So at the time when I was bodybuilding, it was more about, look at me, look, I look the part, but inside there,
Yeah.
not good at all. And also as well, like, I don't know if you know this, but when bodybuilders train, yes, they might look great, but when it comes to anything that's based on, let's say, I don't know, heart health or anything cardiovascular,
Mm,
they struggle with it. They do. Like if
really?
you ask a bodybuilder to go and catch that bus, go and run for it.
Yeah, they're not
Nope.
able. No.
Oh, but I look good. Got good biceps.
Yeah.
Exactly that. So I then started just questioning a lot of just health and what the industry, what is fit, because I, even off the back of competing, I was doing a lot of photo shoots, and even for these photo shoots for fitness content online and in magazines and stuff, like I don't think people realize what we were briefed like months in advance before these shoots. So we had to almost do a bodybuilder style regime before
Yeah.
the shoot even happened. And even before the actual shoot on the day, we would pump. We would like literally do something to like get our muscles pumped.
Make it look. Yeah.
Exactly. So like you see these fitness models and that, it's like they don't just look like that. They've got
Yeah.
yeah. So then that just started making me question the industry, and it's like, this isn't worth it for me. And then I just started getting into the feeling of how it makes me feel in there, whether
Yeah.
it's the endurance side, I want to be able to run, I want to be able to do burpees or whatever that is, but it should be a balance of both.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course.
So then I left that gym completely, and then I sort of even left the Thurrock area. I just thought, I'm done with Thurrock. I need to go into London now because I literally exhausted all the gyms in my area, People knew who I was from the dance school and the fitness thing. And I'm like, I need to get away now.
Okay.
So then I started working for a really like a well-known global fitness brand in London. And I then got extremely exhausted because they then started doing these fitness challenges and transformation challenges and lose X amount in 6 weeks. And I then, again, that whole question of like, what is fitness? You're all doing it for a look. And then COVID happened, right?
Good old COVID.
Biggest turning point in my career and in my life just changed. I think it's certainly where I am now has happened from what's happened in my past, but it's the middle part of the story now.
Yeah.
So after my dad died, my mum was going backwards and forwards from Philippines to UK to just visit me and my sister, check on how we were doing, staying with us, And then COVID happened and she literally was stuck here. She couldn't get back to Philippines because the
Yeah.
Philippine borders were like, anyone from the UK, forget it. You're too high. You need to stay there. And so my mum was here. And then sadly, in that time that she was here where we weren't allowed to go out, I noticed changes in her.
Yeah.
Now, sadly, like my dad, not the best lifestyle. My mum, like, she would have Greggs and McDonald's for breakfast and things like that. Wasn't very active. She'd
You
walk a
see
lot.
now, see. I never would have imagined that because that particularly Asian people had such healthy diets in comparison to us. Because that's what I've always. You always look so young and healthy, and you don't age like we do. And I just thought you have good food. It must be what you're eating.
I think it's genetics, 100%. I agree with.
Yeah.
There's a funny saying, Asian don't raisin, and it's so true.
Bless. Dear.
Asian, they don't raisin, right?
Yeah. I get it. Yeah.
But I mean, from my experience, certainly, of Filipinos and Filipino culture, I mean, like I said, like high blood pressure, diabetes is the number one killer
Yeah.
in the Philippines. And I think food is such a big part of their culture.
Yes. Yeah.
Rice is life over there. Food is
Yeah.
like a gathering, like it's togetherness. It's
Yeah.
a big deal. So I guess growing up, my mum and dad had that as well. But both my mum and dad's lifestyles. I say
We're
this.
ruined by British takeaways.
Well, like I
For a
said,
bit.
when mum
Yeah.
was over here, she just had a big love for McDonald's and Greggs and all of that. It became part of her routine, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I always used to say to her, come on, like, even going as far back as a dance school where she used to say to me, you're going to stop jumping up and down. I'm like, Mum, don't do it for that, but do it for the feeling. You want to feel good, right? Because she always used to say about achy this and achy that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so during COVID, I noticed changes in her behavior. And yeah, we kind of went through the diagnosis that she actually had, vascular dementia. And I remember at the early stages of her journey, I actually asked her, Mum, where do you want to be? When I researched and prepared for the potential journey ahead with my mum. So I did all the legal stuff and I just got her over there as soon as possible. And that's
Yeah.
where she is now. But I guess with my mum's diagnosis and going through and witnessing all the things that she went through, and some of them were just not seeing your mum, head of the family, quite a dominant figure, to then losing bits of that.
That's all right, my lovely.
It's hard.
I get it. I get
It's
it.
hard.
Yeah.
And so it then made me value what I do even more in terms of my work. Just seeing my mum deteriorate like that. I tried to get her into, at the early stages of her journey, just get her into some kind of exercise because it's good stimulation and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it was really good for her. But then as soon as we got her to the Philippines, and obviously I came back to England, and the care that she had over there, they didn't keep up with movement that I'd asked them to do.
Yeah.
There's a saying, and I stand true. Like, if you don't use it, you lose it. And sadly, she lost it because she's now bedbound. She can't walk. She's in a wheelchair because all I asked her caregiver to do was some simple things.
Yeah.
With the dementia, things start shutting down. And
Yeah.
I said, I'm not asking you to take her out on a run or do a workout, but just get her moving, simple things, sitting in the chair, doing
Yeah.
leg extensions so that her quads, you don't lose because it was
Yeah.
working for them. And I believe that because of that, that's where she's completely fed them. Um, and obviously other things have progressed in terms of like she's now nonverbal and all of that thing. And having to see that from afar only uh, on a FaceTime is really hard. So
But you know what you did though? You got your mum back to where she wanted to be,
yeah, and
and
I
I
guess
think that that's probably the thing for her, that
yeah,
that's
I
what she
mean
wanted. Yeah, look, some families would say, "No, you're staying here," and
yeah, and I think the blessing as well is all her family are there, so thankfully,
yeah,
all her brothers and sisters minus one brother, but they're all alive and they're all with her.
yeah,
My
yeah,
dad's ashes is over there. Like,
yeah,
in the Philippines, what I love about being there is family is everything, like, you literally have
yeah,
everyone in the house, and
yeah,
it's beautiful, it's beautiful, and that's what she would have wanted, so
yeah,
I then have to then go over there and see her, but every time I do, and every time I have done since COVID, I see a different version of my mum every time.
yeah,
I guess it just highlights why I do what I do. And also for myself, where I'm changing, my body's changing now. I'm going to be 48. I'm not how I was when I was certainly in my bodybuilder days, or, I'm starting to put on weight in areas where I never thought I would. And I know that that's just, something that your bodies change as you age. And I think
yeah,
women my age going through perimenopause and menopause, often they'll try and just do extremes. They'll try and be the bodybuilder in me where they're like, right, got a holiday coming up, or I've got this, I need to exercise more and I need to restrict and all of that. And I guess this is where I
yeah,
am today. I'm like, just got to think differently. And my mindset since the beginning, even when I was a dance teacher, is just think different, think different. And so how I coach women today is there's more than one way to do things. You can still have a life and enjoy life. And it's important that you do, because things change. I didn't think I'd lose my dad. I certainly didn't think that my mum would have dementia, and she is where she
yeah,
is now. But there's more than one way to do things. And so a lot of what I do now is actually very habit based and not so much workout based.
yeah,
And that's how I coach women now, and I keep them accountable to it. And I run these challenges that are very habit based and keeping women accountable to some daily habits.
mhm,
I believe we are a product of our habits.
yeah, yeah.
And that's not doing workouts. And I think because of my background, whenever I talk to people, I think, oh, I ain't got time to do workouts. I'm like, do you think I have?
Time, but we have lots of time, but we say we don't have time, but it's what we prioritize, I think,
Right.
sometimes.
And it's how you choose to spend your time. So I guess
But
like,
I think again, does go back to when we were younger,
yeah,
because when you're younger, you've got an excess of time because you don't
yeah,
have the responsibility. So you have that notion that that's how life's going to be. So you think, oh, I'll be fine, I'll be good. Look at me, 8, I'm a size 10. And then you have kids, and then you're a size 14, and then you're a 16. And then like, I'm 50 next month, and I am towards the end of the perimenopause phase, and I put on 3 stone. And it's like, I couldn't get that gone for nothing. So I'm interested to see
yeah.
what you've got to say.
So yeah, how I work now is I keep women accountable to some habits.
Yeah,
And I think, like I said, when women have, obviously through no fault of their own, because their bodies are going through changes, you do put on, this weight. But I think women will quite often revert to the exercise and the food and restriction. Okay, if I can keep you accountable to some basic foundations, which you should be doing, but probably are not, I bet you're going to feel different. This is where the feeling comes in, which will
yeah,
then give you that motivation to then work out. Right, work like to do a workout. It's not motivation that does it. It's actually habits that do it.
yeah.
But quite often people think, right, okay, start Monday. I need to read an affirmation, and it's going to fire me up to do a workout. How do you do a workout when you've had, like, I don't know, especially with how the weather is at the moment, 3 hours sleep? You just can't. So how I work with women now is a lot, I kind of look at, okay, well, I look at their nutrition, I look at what they're actually putting into their body, I look at how much they're drinking, I look at just their step count, and I just set them like mini targets based on what they are doing individually. Because it's really easy for me to say to you, Lisa, for example, let's take you. Right, this is what a PT, I say PT because I am a PT, but if you would have met me in my 20s, I would have said to you, right, Lisa, as of tomorrow, as of Monday, you're going to drink 2 litres of water, you're going to do 10K steps because that's what they say you should do. You need to prioritize protein in all your meals, chicken, rice, broccoli, yogurt, granola, tell you what to do, and then you're going to do it. And then the motivation in you at the beginning will be quite high because you're determined to want to do it. But then
Yeah.
you'll fall off about 2, 3 days in because you just can't keep up with what they tell you should be doing.
Yeah.
And I flip that. I'm like, well, if our average is like 3K steps, I'm not saying that's what you're doing, but let's just say
Yeah.
that's what it is. You don't go then from 3K steps to then 10K.
No.
It's like there's a lady that lives opposite me, and she's a busy mum. She works for the NHS, and she wants to lose weight and tone up. Similar age to us. And I said, okay, well, how are you doing that? You getting like some daily movement in, just going out for walks? She went, yeah, I'm doing my 10K steps daily. And I'm like, okay, when was the last time you did 10K at all? And she just went, a few years ago. She went, but I'm 2 days in and I've done 10K. Like I want to get a streak. I'm like, how you feeling? Right? And I'm like, so that's because, and you're doing what us women will typical social media society, like, right?
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
kind of how I flip it, and I basically make it personal to that individual, and I keep them
Yeah.
accountable to that. And what happens is all of a sudden clothes start feeling a little bit looser, and they're so energized
Yeah.
and motivated. That's when I throw in, right, let's work out, right?
Yeah.
But that's only if the foundation's in place.
It's interesting because I think that this is something that I've heard myself and many friends, you've got to do the 10K steps. And I had an accident in August last year, so I fractured my tailbone and I cannot walk very far. So my movement is rubbish. My daily steps sometimes can be about 300. I have got up to 1,000. And the other week I went to London for work and I did a lot of steps, but I was so ill for the rest of the week because it physically ruined me and mentally ruined me. But I was so determined to do a good job, but my body couldn't cope with it. So
Because
exactly what you've said.
you've gone from 0 to 100.
Yeah,
Where
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like,
And then
okay,
you feel bad because then you think, "Oh my God, why can't I do this? Yes, I know I've had an accident, but surely, I should be able to still do." And it's you go up because you think, "Oh, this is amazing. Look at what I'm doing." And then when you're not well, you go all the way back down again. So it makes perfect sense in what you're saying. I can totally relate to it.
and I think maybe the 20-year-old you would be up for that because let's face it, 20-year-olds, they're
Yeah,
breed, right? They can do whatever they want when they want, and their
yeah,
bodies are just not responding in the way they do with where we are now.
yeah,
I see women going through this stage in their life an opportunity to begin again. That's
yeah,
how I see it. Not as, well, I'm going through this now, like, I might as well accept this is how I am now. No, like, see it as a reset. Like, you now have an opportunity to do things differently. You just need to think different. You did think of, right, this is now an opportunity. I've got like 20 years of experiences in my life. Now this is an opportunity to begin again.
yeah. With who you are right at this moment, which is, like you said, older and
Yeah,
change.
right.
So, obviously when you started doing this then and you got your clients and everything, is this your giving you what you needed? Is this it now, do you think?
No, it's never it. It's always a work. It's always a work in progress. I have a lot of personal things that I need to work on myself because of what I personally went through getting to where I am today.
Yeah,
A lot of where I am today, obviously, there's a lot of internal conversations going on about still how I should be, what got me there. Obviously, there was the big influences of my parents, but also there was the racial stuff as well, of that feeling of belonging.
yeah,
That
yeah,
that literally just every now and then just literally just pokes its head round the corner and go, "You haven't got rid of me yet."
yeah,
So there's a lot of learning to do on my part. Certainly in terms of where I am now as a 47-year-old, sort of mid to late 20s going into 30s, completely different person. Not just how
yeah,
I look. And I've had like 20 odd years of the narrative a little bit.
yeah,
So now it's It's not as simple as, okay, like this is it now. So I am actually working with a coach, a life coach, to help me flip that and also just accept that, this is a different version of me now. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
sadly, that narrative does creep in every now and then. And
Yeah,
it's
but
still not.
I think for people listening though, to hear that somebody who is doing what you do to help and support people, you've got the lived experience of obviously going through these things yourself. And I think that sometimes we get sold a dream, or we get sold something that tells us that you're going to be and you're going to be happy forever. But all through our life, we have so many things happening. We literally are riding a wave. And, as we spoke about, grief is one thing that can change how we respond in daily life. Some people can sail through grief seemingly quite easily, but then they fall all of a sudden because they haven't dealt with it. Like you said, you weren't able to. Some people, it lingers with them forever. But whatever it is that happens, whether it's a traumatic thing, and we'll talk in a minute about your other business as well, because I think that's fantastic. Whatever it is, whether it's traumatic or whether it's just you growing as a person and changing who you are. And I used to think, but I do. And the thing is, I outgrow things. And I've always said, like, I have so many paths that I go down. And I used to think, oh, why me? Why do I realize more than ever now is that it's because these things are all meant to be, whether they're awful or not. It's about how you're being guided to where you're meant to be. And I really do believe that. And so that's how I've managed to overcome and deal with things that make me feel enough. And I know you said about you a lot of things when you were younger and maybe even now still. And obviously I've never experienced that because as a white woman that's not something that we really have happen. Um, but in the sense of other things, so like, and this sounds really silly and crazy, but I always thought, why aren't I blonde? Because they always say blondes have more fun.
Yeah,
Now a lot of my friends are blonde,
yeah,
and then we're all equally as funny and we have a laugh.
right.
But when I was growing up, I wasn't skinny, I wasn't blonde, I didn't have, a rich family and all these different things. So whoever we are, whatever we're going through, how we deal with the changes that happen to us naturally can all be affected by so many different things, I think. And I think what you're doing now is you're doing that I think is really amazing. And I'm sure there's lots of other people that do this. I've not met them. But when it comes to women trying to find somebody who's going to help them and encourage them to and healthy, and for me, I'm on a journey now. I call it an adventure because I hate the word journey, to be fair. But for me, it is an adventure, even if it's good or bad. And I feel like because of the things that you said, and obviously we'd spoken before, and I'd already kind of changed a lot of things because in my own head. But because of that, I actually deal with things a lot better now and accept things. So I'm not bothered about not being blonde. I'm not bothered about not being 6 foot tall. I'm not
Yes,
bothered about the fact that I'm 5'2". I am who I am. But what I was bothered about was that I was healthy and I wasn't. And my BMI's gone from 40 to 36 in the last 11 weeks. And that to some people might think, so what? And I'm only just turning 50 and I don't want to die young. I want to do everything that I can. And if
yes,
I could go back and tell my younger self, I would have done these things before. But because I thought, I'm young, it doesn't matter. I'll eat that extra chocolate. I'll do whatever. I'll have all this, that, and the other. But
yes,
what I've also realised is that allowing yourself to have whatever you like as well in
absolutely,
moderation, it
absolutely.
stops you from then falling, which is what most people do. And I think a lot of PTs out there, I know some fantastic PTs who, like you, they say, I'll never tell you not what you can and can't eat, and that's what we need. We need more encouragement, not because we ate a biscuit.
It's funny because I have a lot of clients, where, they'll kind of tell me what they're eating, and they'll say, "I had a naughty," and they will call it naughty, or, a cheap meal, and I'm like, "What's so
Yeah,
naughty about it?" Like,
yeah,
I think like, food is food.
yeah,
Food is food. Like, there is no good, bad food. It's what I guess society, social media, almost enforces that you shouldn't be having that, or you can't have that because it's naughty, or, you get companies out there that call it sinful foods, or and
yeah.
I guess that doesn't help. That doesn't help at all.
No, absolutely, because it's confusing as well. It's very
Yeah.
confusing. I mean, there's just so many. But what I will say about yourself is that as a woman who's experiencing perimenopause, you are now doing something that's going to help the women that are in exactly the same position as you, but you have the training and the understanding to
Mhm.
help them and guide them to make the right choice and all of that kind of thing. Tell me a little bit before we finish. I want to know a bit more about this other thing you're doing because she just explained to me before we came on air, and I think it's fantastic. And it might be something that a lot of women out there think, oh, wow, this is something that could, be good for me. Yeah, tell us a bit.
So I recently invested in a company called Strike Back, and basically they are the world's only, well, certainly in the UK, only women's self defense for women, run by women. Right? A lot
Yeah.
of like, actually, all my work is why?
Uh-huh.
Because I would never like when I'm working with a client, I would never do something that I haven't gone through myself or put through
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah.
It's something that I'm highly educated in and studied for many years on, women's fitness, health and fitness, especially, as we age and how things are changing and how the body is different. So that is definitely my area of expertise, but it's also about just getting women just to feel empowered, empowered.
Yeah.
When I heard
Yeah.
about this company, I think a lot of things resonated for me on the created it. So, and then I'm still am just hugely inspired by this woman, but she's like a 5 foot Asian woman, right? Who created this company. She was a pharmacist and she sadly was attacked because she was targeted. She wanted to learn self defense, but what she found was a lot of the areas that she was trying to learn were very male dominated. She didn't feel comfortable, and certainly she went through a bit of a grading for it.
Yeah.
When in real life, when women are put in those situations, they don't care about grading or technique. They want actual real life skills.
Mm.
And some women don't want to be in environments where there's men there. I mean, certainly in my experience of working in gyms, I've lost a lot of clients because they don't want to go into dominated. So this is
Yeah.
no different, really. So I think her mission and what she stands for and what she was trying to do, it was very much in line with what I do from a health and fitness perspective. And it was a no-brainer for me. But also, I also experienced an incident when I was working in London for the global fitness brand, where I was put in a very uncompromising position where something bad really could have happened. And again, I wanted to invest in this company because I say I want to be, but I am now equipped with the skills. Did the training last week, got the scars to prove it. But I now have the skills to go out there and teach women and teenage girls how to be empowered and how to stay safe.
Yeah.
That's what it
I love that.
comes down to. So yeah.
Yeah. I love that. And I think it's an amazing thing. And obviously, what's the lady's name that created that as well? What is it?
Her name is Gulshan Gully. Excuse me, I have to just try and find her name. Is Gulshan Bano, and the company is called YouTube Strike Back Dragon's
I
Den. You'll
love
see her
that.
on there.
I love that. I'll have to have a watch. Yeah, I haven't seen it for a while, but no, no. I think it's really it's inspiring because I think more and more people like yourself, you're coming forward and you're doing the things that are helping ordinary women of all different cultures. And for you, being an Asian woman yourself and experiencing what you've experienced, you're able to probably, other people that think, well, oh, I'm not able to do that.
You
Maybe
know
they think,
it's really interesting you say that. So after I've done this course, I mean, look, you have to bear in mind that as an instructor, it was very intense training. I mean,
mm,
my first training in April and failed the teach back. So I had to go back again like last week and I had to do it again. But I'm glad I did because I've picked up even more training. That's how I see it.
mm,
But
yeah,
I remember actually it was yesterday. So me and my husband we were taking our dogs. I'm a dog mum, got 4 dogs. If I could have more, which I could, I'd rescue them all. So we're taking the dogs out for a walk, and I think what us women are really, really good at, but we don't use it enough, is our intuition and our gut feeling. And
yeah,
this is a big, big part of what we do on Strike Back is actually tuning in, funnily enough, to the body and actually listening to it. Because when something doesn't feel right, quite often women will just shy away, or they'll confront to society or social norms because that's not, but it's actually giving them the power to speak
Yeah.
and stand up. So I was on a dog walk and I saw this guy walking towards me. And I hate to say this, but he just looked shifty. He did.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
looked shifty, the way he was dressed, the way he was carrying himself, like everything about how this guy looked, just looked. Now, luckily I was with my husband, but even if I wasn't, I still probably would have walked past him, as a lot of women do, with their head down.
Yeah. Done it myself. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yesterday, I looked him squared in the eye and I walked past him and I felt so like mentally like that. I just
Yeah.
thought, I literally, I can look anyone in the, and that's what I want women out there to
Yeah.
feel. I don't want them to shy
Yeah.
away, to put themselves down. They need to have that. When you
Yeah.
have that feeling of, you know what, I'm so skilled in, like, if you tried, this is what I'm going to be able to do for you, to you. And
No,
I had
I
that
love.
feeling yesterday and it was really empowering. It felt good.
Yeah, no, I love it. And again, like I said, I've experienced that myself. And sometimes you just feel a bit like I don't feel safe in this moment. And it's terrible, really, that that's how we are. But like you said, if you are able to do things like that, that learn, train you and learn you to understand and not be afraid, but just make sure you're always on guard and you've got some sort of way of protecting yourself if needs be and all of that. But
Mhm.
no, I love what you're doing. And I think your story, and I know you've still got all the ongoing stuff with your mum and everything, and I do totally empathise with that. I know it's so painful and upsetting, but you're doing such a lot of great work that I'm sure both your parents would be absolutely proud of you.
Thank you.
I know deep down parents want us to do the things that they want us to do because that's what they've been taught.
Yeah,
But I guarantee that realistically, they were always proud of you.
thank you.
Sometimes they just want us to do what they want. And when you're a teenager, I don't know about you, but I never did anything I was told. So,
Well, as you know, I definitely didn't.
yeah, exactly. And then when my kids said to me, can we do? No, you can't. No, not really. I've always said to my kids, you can be whoever you want to be and do whatever you
Amen
want
to
to do.
that. Amen.
So, before we go, so obviously what you're doing now is, so where can people find you? Where's the best place for people to find you to come and
Yeah.
dip into your world?
So I'm an Instagrammer, so get a lot of my sort of requests, and you can find me on Instagram, the Wilde Fitness Coach. I also have a website. What is my website? That's really bad. It's the
Don't worry
Wild
about it.
the Wild Fitness. The Wild Fitness.
Yeah,
So yeah, Instagram, and I have my website, and yeah.
fantastic. And so one more question before I go. To all the listeners, whether they're male or female, to be fair, but to anyone that's listening to this and is thinking, do you know what, I'd love to have a chat with V because maybe my wife is struggling with the menopause, or maybe it's the lady themselves, or whoever. What one thing would you say to them that they would probably be the one thing that you would say to everybody that could really help them and make a bit of a difference to them in their daily life when it comes to what you do in the sort of health and fitness type of thing?
Yeah, I would say, well, there's am I allowed two?
You can have as many as you want, really. I say one, but every single person I've had on the podcast, they've gone, "Oh, I can't do one," and I'm like, "It's okay."
I think a lot of my work is inspired by habits, and I think a book that I read that really changed the narrative of how I run my business is Atomic Habits by James Clear.
Yeah.
I think it's such a powerful book, and that is definitely, since reading that book, I just thought, no, it's all about the habits. And I think my one thing would just start with one small thing and stack it to something that you're already doing. Don't overthink it. Don't go from 0 to 100. Just think small and stack it to something that you're already doing. So I don't know. It could be, I don't know, while you're brushing your teeth, maybe do a wall sit. I don't know, but like stacking the two together, it's a really good way to get into habits. Get
Yeah.
yourself a coach. Look, I'm a bit like, I've certainly learned over the years in business that you can't do things on your own. You
No,
can't.
no.
And even I have a coach. Like, I've always had a
I
coach.
know you said that earlier, and I thought that was a fantastic
Well,
example,
I've
to be
always had,
fair.
I'm a
Yeah.
child. the end of the day, in there, definitely I'm a child. So, like, if I don't have a coach and I have someone to that's, keeps me accountable, then I'll be like a child and I'll do whatever I want when I want. And so I need that accountability. So even if it's not a
Yeah.
coach, but have someone to keep you accountable, whether it's your partner, your friend, whoever it is, but that accountability is so important. And that's three things now. And I guess the third, so whether you're religious or not, but there's a big there's something quite powerful in just acceptance. There's a famous prayer called the Serenity Prayer, and it's something that my mum told me, funny enough, when I was growing up. And it's this prayer. Do you mind if I say it?
Absolutely, say it. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change. I'm going to cry now because it's so powerful. The courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. And I think that acceptance piece is quite a big one. If you can work with someone on just accepting where you are now, but also having the courage to just make a change. Look, there's more than one way to do things. My dad, like, his favorite song, and beautifully, it was his funeral song, was "My Way" by Frank Sinatra.
Oh
I
my
have
goodness.
I have that tattooed on my neck, but I also have the Serenity Prayer tattooed on my ribs, because there's more than one way to do things. Like, if someone's saying to you, do your 10K, like, no, just do it your way. So there you go.
Do you know what? I don't think there's anything else we can say now, really. I mean, you've been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
I'm so sorry that your mum is going through what she's going through. My auntie's the same. I just send you so much love and hugs and everything. But anybody that's listening and you think, do you know what, I'd love to get in touch with V, please do. She's such a lovely lady, and she's the same as us. She is a mum. She's a wife. She's a dog mum. she and she's doing remarkable things to help people, and obviously with regards to the safety element of things, of helping people as well, do reach out, because she definitely will be somebody worthwhile having a chat with. Thank
Yeah.
you so much, Fee. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
To everybody listening to the podcast, this has been Breath of Life Stories, which is sponsored by Life Hack Europe. And we'll be back again with another episode very soon. But until then, thank you, and I will see you all soon. Thank you very much, V. Bye. Bye.
Bye.